Right, so which book are we going to read tonight?
Percy the Barkeeper.
Percy the Porkkeeper. One snowy night. You ready?
One snowy night.
It's cold in the park in winter, but Percy the Porkkeeper doesn't mind. Lay down, mate. He puts on his warm coat and his big scarf and wears 2 pairs of woolly socks inside his Wellington boots. Percy likes to be out in the fresh air.
Yeah, let's be out in the fresh air.
In the middle of the park there is a little hut where Percy lives. When it gets too cold to be outside, Percy goes into his hut where it's cosy and warm.
Cozy and warm.
Where's his hut? On the page, look. Right, lay down.
I don't have to lay down, I can't see it.
The animals who live in the park all know Percy's hut, and every day he shares his.
Thanks for them.
One winter's night, it was so cold it began to snow. Great big snowflakes fell past the window of Percy's hut. Said Percy. I'll need you next.
Extra banquet tonight.
Good boy. He made himself some,
Hot cocoa and some biscuits.
and then he got ready for bed, and suddenly he heard a tapping sound. Now, who can that be at this time of night, thought Percy, and he went out to the door to look. There on the step was a...
Squirrel.
It looked very cold and miserable. I can't get to...
Badger.
No, not yet. I can't get to sleep, Percy, said the squirrel. My bed is full of...
Snow.
Oh dear, said Percy. Never mind, I've got plenty of room for 2. The squirrel snuggled down next to Percy and soon began to feel warm. But then... Who can that be, thought Percy. Standing outside were 2 shivering...
Rabbits.
We're frozen. It's freezing, said one. We're...
Frozen.
said the other. You poor thing, said Percy. Come on in and warm up. The rabbit squeezed into bed next to Percy and the squirrel. There wasn't much room. Can you face the other way, Percy asked the squirrel. Your tail is tickling my nose. But then... Oh dear, said Percy. Now there's someone else at the door. It was a...
Hedgehog.
Jaden, what is it?
Fox.
A fox. He looked very cold and hungry. Can I come in too, he asked. Percy scratched his head and thought for a minute. Well, if you promise to behave, he said. I promise, said the fox, and he squeezed into bed next to the other animals. Bump! Oops, the squirrel fell out. Who did that? Asked the squirrel crossly. But then... Good gracious, said Percy, it's the door again. This time Percy had quite a surprise. There on the step was a...
Badger. 2 ducks. A squirrel.
No.
Badger.
No.
A hedgehog.
Hedgehog. And...
1 mice, 2 mice, 3 mice, 4 mice, 6 mice, 17 mice.
11 mice.
11 mice.
How many mice?
1, 2, 1 mice, 2 mice. I'll count it on the page. 1 mice, 1 mice, 2 mice, 3 mice, 4 mice, 6 mice, 11 mice.
That is a lot of mice. Poor old Percy and poor old Percy's bed. The animals pushed and shoved and rolled all around the bed, but there just wasn't enough room for them all. Soon the bed covers ended up in a big tight ball.
What's
Then
a big
bump.
tight ball?
It's what the covers fell into. The covers rolled right off the bed and everybody fell onto the floor. Oh dear, said Percy, this just won't do at all.
Tight ball?
My bed is just too small. Oh dear, we've lost our page. Right. There we go.
Read it.
Suddenly, one of the mice pricked up his ears. What's that noise? He squeaked. Everybody listened hard, and they could all hear it. There was a scratching and scraping sound that seemed to be coming from underneath them.
It's here. It's here.
There's something moving under the floor, whispered Percy. The animals looked frightened, and all the mice started to squeak at once. Oh dear, what can it be? It might be.
Monster.
It might be a monster
Or a T-Rex.
with fierce.
Claws and fierce sharp teeth.
The noise grew louder and louder, and then one of the floorboards began to move. Look out, it's coming through the floor. Suddenly there was a loud crack. Help, cried the animals, and they all ran to hide.
But they found a nice bed.
But Percy wasn't frightened, he just started to chuckle, and then he laughed out loud. A small dark head was sticking up through the floorboards.
It was just a mole.
You can't ruin the ending. This isn't a monster, said Percy.
It's a mole.
I'm sorry to burst in like this, said the mole. I knocked on the door, but nobody heard me.
What's
Percy
the
helped
door?
the mole up through the hole
What's the
and sat him on the floor on a hot water bottle to get warm and put the floorboard back.
What's a hot water bottle?
It's what you put your hot water in and it keeps him nice and warm, look. It's all right, everybody, you can come out now. But nobody,
Move, hot water.
nobody,
Move.
or nobody stirred. Nobody wanted to come out. The squirrel was tucked away in the pocket of Percy's dressing gown. The hedgehog was in his coat. The fox, the rabbits, the badger and the ducks were all safely hidden away. The mice had even squeezed themselves into Percy's slippers. Everyone had found a cosy bed. Well, I never, said Percy.
Yeah.
There they all are, look.
Yeah. How long do I get a poster?
Soon, Percy yawned and snuggled down in his bed once again. That's better. Now I've got plenty of room, he said, and even a little bit to spare.
From mole.
Say night-night.
Night.
See you morning.
See you